Hi, my name is George Puckett, and I'm making this video to introduce Mexico enthusiasts to some of my books. First of all, my first book was Baja Diaries, Chronicles of a Paradise Lost. It's a biographical in nature, and I wrote it 7 years ago. My wife and I lived there, and we were actually 8 to 10 miles south of Ensenada in an area called Punta Banda, Punta Estero. It was on the road leading to the Blowhole or La Bufadora. There was a rather large American community there, and we had a little theater building, a thrift store, and a clubhouse. I should also mention that we had a library building, and flowers had been painted on the exterior by one of our local artists. That was Jeannie Leslie. We had a lot of activities at the clubhouse, and most of them, not all of them, centered on food. We had gatherings for Monday night football every week of the season, and a different organization would prepare the food each week. That was before the advent of the small satellite dishes. Once they came out, more and more people could afford satellite TV, and our Monday night crowd started to dwindle right about halftime. There are a number of stock characters that you would probably recognize, and you'd find them in any expatriate communities. Here are 2 reviews. After reading, then you should go to the sales page on Amazon and read other reviews. You should always also look inside the book. Amazon gives you this opportunity. After doing so, you should then make a purchasing decision. Yes. Here's the first review. I enjoyed reading this book. The narrative is insightful, heartfelt, and moving. The author, George Puckett, captures the imagination of the reader and transports one to Baja. While reading the book, one feels the beauty of the seascape and almost experiences the emotions of the writer. A must-read by a gifted artist. Number 2, a great book by Steve Weber. He says, I spent the last 4 evenings reading the Baja Diaries by George Puckett. During the days, I look forward to my evening readings. I regretted finishing the book and not having it for the next night. On the second night, I was tempted to remain reading until finished. However, I knew I would miss having the time with it over the next few evenings. I've always been fascinated with anything and everything related to Baja. When George told me a while back he was working on a book about his Baja adventures, I told him to put me on the list for one. I was not disappointed. Although I have not been there yet, I feel I know it now in a way I hadn't before. I am even more anxious to visit someday. George's account of his joys and tribulations during this time in Baja not only made for very good reading, but also inspirational. The second book is Become an Expatriate, Retire to Sonora, Mexico. For a long time, I did not consider the state of Sonora as a retirement location. Why? Because I live in Tucson, and when considering retiring in Mexico, I wanted to get away from the heat of the desert and not go back into it, and humidity also. However, the retirement destination chosen by most Americans are acceptable and not so hot or humid when the summer is gone. Those locations are listed on the cover of the book here. Tina and I went to San Carlos in September a few years ago. And that's kind of an in-between month. It's still warm, but not as hot as July. One of the major advantages of visiting or retiring to Sonora is that you can travel to most of these destinations in a few hours from Arizona and parts of New Mexico. You will not be exhausted when you arrive. I said most are short drives, but Alamos is the longest. Let's look at some reviews. Onion Custard wrote, "Well, what a timely release. My brother was looking to move to Mexico, and I snapped this book up as a present for him. He absolutely loved it." Here's another one by Kathleen Dillenbeck. "If anyone had asked me before I read the book if I would consider moving to Mexico, I would emphatically said no. After reading the book, if I were to leave the USA, Mexico would be near the top of my list of possibilities." There's a lot of useful information in this book, and George Puckett obviously knows what he's talking about. He shares a lot of information you couldn't get in a travel book or even from a 2-week vacation in Sonora. Even if you're not thinking of moving there, you'll find this book a treasure trove of information. The next book is Medical Dental Tourism. Medical tourism is defined as leaving one's own country and traveling to another for the purpose of medical treatment. One reviewer had never considered dental tourism as a form of medical tourism. As the cost of oral surgeries has gone up, as well as dentures and implants, more people have gotten on the dental tourism bus. Historically, while many employers have provided some kind of medical care for their employees, dental care has lagged during bad economic times especially. There are 2 towns in Mexico just across the border from the U.S. where there are dozens of dental offices and dental labs. Sometimes you can obtain dentures the same day they're ordered. In most cases, you don't need an appointment, just walk right in. Some of the dentists are U.S. trained. As a matter of fact, I knew one in Tijuana that received her dental degree in the U.S., lives in San Diego, and her office is in Tijuana. She drives over every morning and back to the U.S. every night. Why is dental care so much less in Mexico? The doctors are not forced to obtain malpractice insurance. I knew a gynecologist that quit practicing medicine and just did consulting. Why? His malpractice insurance was $40,000 a year. Just think about that. Here's one review. "Kudos to the author for some very fine work. It was concise and explained just about all the questions I would ask if seeking dental care across the border. Having lived in Mexico, I can vouch for Jorge's information." And here's another one, Decal. "This book saved us thousands of dollars on dental care. We went across the border after contacting a few places in the book by email, got 3 estimates, and took one of them. When we were in Texas, we crossed the border and found the dentist's office. They were professional, and they were even better than the dentists we have here in the U.S. Just an example for you, a crown here can be between $800 and $1,200. There in Mexico, a crown is only $200. My husband had 2 root canals, 2 build-ups, and 2 crowns, a tooth extracted and 1 filled, and cleaning. And we left there. It only cost us $1,200. You do the math. Going back there in February. They say retirees give up dental after they retire because it's so expensive, but you don't have to pay the cost in the U.S. You can and should take care of your teeth." The 4th and final book, It's called Your Retirement Questions Answered. And I know a lot of people want to retire to Mexico and have a lot of questions about retiring there. I say 20 questions, but most people have many more. If you know a retiree in Mexico, you could ask them and get some insight into how you go about retiring there. That's a good start. If you know all the ins and outs of expatriating yourself to Mexico or any country, you will eliminate some anxiety in the future. In this book, we have made an attempt to anticipate your questions and provide answers or point you in the right direction to find more complete answers. Look inside the book. Read the table of contents to see what topics are covered. There are some excellent resource links at the end of the book. We made an earnest attempt to give you good information. However, you should know that implementation of provisions of the laws are different and vary from state to state and even between cities. So read the reviews, read all of them, and see what they have to say in the reviews, at the table of contents, and make a decision. In concluding, I have a podcast series at ChooseMexicoToRetire.com. We've interviewed several realtors and business people and 2 writer friends, author friends. We will be interviewing more in the future. We are looking for just plain old retirees to interview. So if you know any, or if you are one, then shoot us an email. We hope that because of this presentation, you will go to the sales page and read reviews and then look inside each of the books. Thank you very much.